Looks like the governor of West Virginia is going to have to fire another lawsuit. Why? Because Carolina keeps beating his school.
This is Tyler Hansbrough, and you're listening to Locked On Tar Heels.
You are Locked On Tar Heels, your daily podcast on the UNC Tar Heels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, what's up? It's Wednesday, April 2nd, 2025. Unless I guess you're in Central Mountain or Pacific time zone, which I'm in Central time zone, but whatever. It's Wednesday, April 2nd, 2025. Welcome into the Locked On Tar Heels podcast, the only daily North Carolina show out there. I'm your host, Isaac Schade. You're joining me at the place to get your Tar Heels content every single day. It's all part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you so much for making us your first listen or watch of the day to get things going the right way. Special shout out to all you everydayers and all the members of the Locked On Tar Heels Discord and our great Locked On Tar Heels insiders, where I'm dropping all my portal rumors and insight and knowledge and stuff. Come join us in the insiders program. That link is in the show notes. We'd love to have you there. Y'all, Carolina gets their first commitment in this transfer portal season. So you know that we had to do our Wednesday show live. Why not? People staying up. I got East Coasters hopping into this thing telling me they're going to be dead in the morning. What's up? I see you, T-Man. Way to go. I'm so proud of you, and we'll all be tired together. Okay. Carolina lands their first commit. We'll get there. We're going to look at the scholarship chart. I'll bring that up here in just a little bit and look at where things stand. We'll look at what's next. Got a big, quite literally, visit coming up today, Wednesday, that's going to happen in the form of Henry Vesar. And so lots of stuff happening, and it could be like a flurry here, and I'll explain why that is as well. All that coming up. But let's get to know Jonathan Powell a little bit, because probably a lot of people don't, because this happened very quickly. But that's where I want to start. We, as a Carolina fan base, and those of us who cover the Tar Heels, there's been PTSD from last offseason. There's been triggering, and it's kind of funny because when you zoom out, the portal's only actually been open for just over a week at this point. But because of last offseason and all the Carolinas pursuing this guy, and they're backing off, and he's backing off, and never landing a big, and that whole thing, and Jalen Washington can do it. No, he can't. He's not good enough. Finally, right? Like, we just needed this. So I love how quickly Carolina was able to close this thing before anyone could overthink it, before other schools could truly get in on it. And this is great. So Jonathan Powell chooses Carolina over Ole Miss, over Ohio State, who he visited with on Monday. And this is how quickly this happened. On Tuesday morning, Jonathan Powell Zoomed with the Carolina coaching staff, and I was literally in the middle of filming Wednesday's Locked On College basketball show, like part of our Final Four previews, when this news came out. So I had to finish that and then get to this crazy stuff. But it just that quick, I was like, there's no way anybody's committing tonight. But what I love about Jonathan Powell going ahead and doing this is it breaks the ice. It breaks the dam, and now others can just flow right on through that. Now we can all exhale a sigh of relief because things are off and running. Is he the most high-profile guy that Carolina's going after? Absolutely not. Is he the sexiest pickup in the transfer portal? Absolutely not. But he's a guy that I truly believe can help North Carolina in some specific areas of need that they had this year. And so it's a healthy reminder. Just because we aren't hearing things doesn't mean there aren't things happening. I always compare this. I'm a Braves fan they are terrible to start this season, by the way. But the Braves general manager, his name is Alex Anthopoulos. And while all these other teams are out spouting off and letting everybody know what's going on, AA, as we call him, keeps things close to the vest. And you never really know what's happening with the Braves until suddenly, boom, here's who we're picking up. And it's like some great bullpen arm that like slays everyone. Just because we're not hearing everything doesn't mean things aren't happening. And in some ways, while we would love to hear all of that, don't you like that Carolina operates in the shadows a little bit? And I don't mean that shadily. I just mean like they're not having to trumpet, here's what we're doing for God and all the world and social media to see. Also, I would like to remind us all, this is not just about getting talent. This is about getting the right talent. How many times have we all said this basketball season, Carolina's, or at least one of their biggest issues is roster construction. Didn't have the pieces you needed, and that was size, that was shooting, all sorts of stuff. And so getting that right talent can take some time. And so that's why, yes, we're all like, let's go, let's hurry this up. It's okay to wait a little bit. Okay. Speaking of waiting a little bit, I've made you wait long enough on talking about Jonathan Powell. So here we go. Jonathan Powell is a 6'6", 191-pound, according to West Virginia's roster from last year, rising sophomore. He comes from Centerville, Ohio, played at Centerville High School there in Ohio. Just finished, as I said, his freshman season. So 3 years of eligibility for this young man. As a freshman at West Virginia last year, 8.3 points a game, 35.2% from three on 5.7 attempts a game. That's a good percentage on a high volume. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. 64 out of 182. That was the second most threes made by a Big 12 freshman this season. Had 3.1 rebounds, started 23 of West Virginia's 32 games. He played in all 32 games that they had. He's not a good free throw shooter. We'll get to that in a little bit, like shockingly so. Like I remember when I first the other day looked at his stat line, I was like, wait, what? That's got to be a typo, but it's not. I promise you that. So I think the question immediately is, okay, Isaac, we got all these holes to fill. Does he fill one of those holes? Is he a starter? Is he a high-level guy? He is not an obvious step in from day one and he's your guaranteed starter. I won't say that. But I think he is good enough to at least challenge for that. And some of it's going to depend on personnel, like if Drake Powell's back or not. But when I look at what he did at West Virginia, remember I just said he started 23 of their 32 games. The 9 games that he didn't start were the first 9 games of the season. Remember, he's coming in as a freshman. They've got Tucker DeVries, who was 2 years ago one of the leading scorers in the nation. Tucker DeVries goes down. And then was it immediately at that point? I didn't even think about that in real time. Let me look at West Virginia's starters last year, because it might have been just like that's what bumped him into the starting lineup and then just never looked back. Okay, we're pulling this up in real time. DeVries for the first 8 games. He goes out. Game 9, they try a different starting lineup. And then game 10, yep, there it is, Jonathan Powell the rest of the season. So it was almost directly a result of Tucker DeVries going down, but he took advantage of the opportunity given to him. That's really interesting to me that's part of what's going on here. So like that. I want to talk about pros and I want to talk about cons with Jonathan Powell and his game. Let's start with pros. What did Carolina need this offseason? A lot of things. In fact, on an upcoming show, I might do it Friday. I haven't decided yet. I've just got a whole list that I've been keeping in my notes app of what went wrong last season. Why was Carolina so inconsistent? Why were they so up and down? I got a whole list ready to unfurl on all of us. But two of the key things were size everywhere until Carolina made this switch. Like having Drake Powell as the starting 3, that got you some size, but you still didn't have it in the backcourt and you still didn't have enough of it in the front court. But Carolina needed size and they also needed shooting. And in my mind, in my opinion, Jonathan Powell, the second Powell on this roster, depending on if Drake stays, brings both of those things positionally. He is 6'6" and plays mostly at the 3, at the small forward position. That's great positional size. That's basically Drake Powell's size. In fact, I could tell you really quick Drake Powell's measurements on Carolina's roster this year. I feel like it was very, very close to that exact number. In fact, that's 6'6", 191. Drake Powell, 6'6", 195. I tell you what, Drake's got him by 4 pounds. Send him back to West Virginia. No, like you see, very similar. He's a different guy. He's not the defender that Drake Powell is. He plays differently. But shooting is the other thing Carolina needs. Look, we all recognize that when Carolina made the big switch to bringing Drake into the starting lineup, Jalen Withers and Van Allen Lubin, along with Elliott and RJ this year, things flipped in a big way. Carolina started shooting better. But at the moment before that, like the game following the Clemson loss, Carolina as a team was shooting 32.3%. They were on track to be one of the worst three-point shooting teams in Carolina history. And then all of that changed. But we can't have that season-long poor three-point shooting. And that is what I love, that not only does Jonathan Powell have positional size, but he shot as a freshman 35%, and he did so while shooting more than 5 attempts a game. That is volume, and that is making them. I need shot takers and I need shot makers. I prefer shot makers over shot takers, but I want guys that do both of it, that aren't afraid of the moment, that will pull. He did that as a freshman in the Big 12. Now it's at West Virginia, but remember, West Virginia had a much better year than expected. That was my joke off the top, is remember, Carolina is probably the team that got in instead of West Virginia into the tournament, and the West Virginia governor, or whoever it was like, we're suing the NCAA. Come on, man, what are we doing? But like, and here's how stark that dichotomy was for Carolina this year, when they were shooting well from three and when they weren't. I laid it out the other day, but let me remind you. And it's not even a high percentage, 30%. In the games this season where Carolina shot under 30% from beyond the arc, they were 2-9. In the games that they shot above 30%, which again is not that high of a threshold to attain. But the games where they shot above 30%, there were 26 of them, they were 21-5. I mean, that is not a hard demarcation line to look at and say, if we could simply just shoot over 30%, we'll be in good shape. And Jonathan Powell is a guy that helps you achieve that. A couple other pros I like about him. His shot is quiet. Go watch some of his tape. And you'll see, like, there's not big, crazy movement from him. He just prepares his feet. He's set. Boom. Gone. It's pretty quick. Not the quickest trigger I've ever seen. There are others. But it is quick enough. And his body is quiet. There's not wasted movement. Just efficient and gets it up. I love that. I also appreciate, and I hate to put it on somebody else, but that he's done it at the high major level. With all due respect to Cade Tyson, right? Like, that was a misdiagnosis. And so now we're all traumatized by that. And literally everyone we bring in, I'm sure that I haven't looked at the comments that are coming in yet, but I'm sure it's, Isaac, how do we know this isn't another misfire? It's a great question. And maybe we don't. But for me, it's all about mitigating risk. And what is the less risky thing to do? You bring in somebody that already played at the power conference level rather than at Belmont, with all due respect to Belmont, who's had some really good guys at the high major level this year. Just Cade wasn't one of them. Now, look, as of right now, Cade is still on this roster, and maybe he'll figure it out this offseason, and that would be great because that's some more positional shooting that you can get. So I love that he did it at a high major. Next, I love that he's got all this eligibility. Powell comes over fresh off his freshman year, has 3 years of eligibility that he could play at Carolina. That's plenty of time for growth and development, and I'm very in favor of that. Another thing I really like about Powell is when you look outside of his shooting, there's not a ton that leaps off the page at you, but this does. One of the things that Carolina has just lost is their starting point guard, Elliot Cadeau. Elliot's turnover percentage was frankly bad, 25% this past season. That's not good. And when you look at Carolina as a team, let me even get back to it here. There were multiple guys that had low turnover percentages on this team that were part of the roster. Cade Tyson, 4.8%. I mean, that's literally phenomenal. Of course, a lot of that is he just wasn't out and he didn't touch the ball more. Of guys that did handle the ball a lot more. Seth Trimble, 9% turnover percentage. RJ Davis, 9.1. Everybody else was double digits. 10.2 for Drake, 10.5 for Ian Jackson, and so on and so forth. You look at Jonathan Powell, a guy who has a pretty high usage rate, 6.4% turnover percentage. Now, a lot of that is probably similar to Cade Tyson. He's just catch and shoot guy, right? So there is that. Literally, his 3-point attempts, he has more, like triple the 3-point attempts that he does 2-point attempts. So that probably factors into this, but I love that he's taking care of the ball. A couple cons that I want to mention, because obviously there's holes in everybody's game. We don't want to just be rah, rah, rah all the time. What I am concerned about is, does he affect the game in other ways beyond making threes at a 35% clip, beyond not turning the ball over? Doesn't have a high assist rate. I would like to see him not just be a shooter, because that keeps the defense honest. They can't just get out on you if you're going to drive by them. So we'll see what happens with that. But I need to watch more Powell tape before I come to a final conclusion on that. But how else will he affect winning other than making threes? I need to know that. And then secondly, I mentioned his free throw rate. This dude, who was a great shooter, somehow shot 48% from the free throw line this season. That is astounding to me that he would do. Like, how was that even remotely possible that this kid would shoot 48%? In his total was 12 of 25, and that's part of it. Very, very low sample size, and so you live with that. But obviously there are some more cons to look at, but I did want to highlight a lot of what he will bring in a positive way that encourages us. Now, we got to get to the Isaac Schade, the shady scholarship chart. We're going to pull that up, look at where things stand now that Jonathan Powell is in the mix. Great news for Carolina. We'll get to that in just a second. Right after I tell you about our friends at Supply House. Get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades, Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order your products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. And plus, they've got a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from more than 400 of the top brands in the world. You'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. Need help with an order? No problem. Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free TradeMaster program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage, and now it's your turn. Join the TradeMaster program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. Check it all out at supplyhouse.com. Okay, everyone, we've got our scholarship chart pulled up here. I know you all like to see this. For those of you listening to this later on, welcome in. So glad that you are here celebrating Carolina's first portal edition of the 25 offseason. I have put the scholarship chart on my Twitter. You can go find it there and follow along with us. So in the offseason, literally every time we have movement, I will put up an updated version of the scholarship chart because I know you're clamoring. Everyone's clamoring to see where do things stand with the roster as of today. So since this is outside of Elliott and Jay Wash transferring out, this is the first time we've had it with someone coming in. So let me just remind everyone of what you're looking at when you see this scholarship chart. It's broken down by color of freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, and any grads. There won't be as many grad students now that we're out of the COVID era. Thank the good Lord above. That was so messy to try to navigate. But there are still grad transfers from time to time, like Cam Johnson, by the way, was one of those. So when you look at this, it shows that I've also adjusted for the probability that we're going to have 15 scholarship slots now. Now, of course, a lot of those are going to go to walk-ons as well, but that's where things will be now. You'll notice that Carolina is completely devoid of a junior class for this upcoming season. Literally no one in it. Zayden High he's redshirting. And still, we're going to find out for certain if he will be part of this team. Elliott Cadeau is out, so he's not in that. Simeon Wilcher was part of that. And so you lose these guys and there's no juniors. But as we look at it as of today, what you're seeing is what we know publicly. So far, I still have Ian Jackson on here. I still have Drake Powell on here because they have not officially declared for the draft. So until they do so, we will keep them on here, right? Does that make sense? So only things that are publicly adjusted or changed will I adjust on the chart. So as of now, there are 3 rising seniors: Van Allen Lubin, Seth Trimble, and Cade Tyson. I had seen at one point, Tar Heel Illustrated had a video out about Cade Tyson transferring, but that ain't a thing, entering the transfer portal. You know what I think happened? I think they pre-recorded it, which happens, like we do that so you're ready to go. And I think somebody accidentally put it out or maybe got the wrong info and went ahead and put it out because it ain't there anymore. But Cade Tyson has not entered the transfer portal. That was weird to me. Sophomores. There's a bunch of these guys: James Brown, Zayden High, who is, again, redshirting, so he's in that sophomore class now. Ian Jackson, Drake Powell, and now Jonathan Powell. We got the Powell bros. Makes me all the more hope that Drake sticks around. And then the 3 incoming freshmen, Isaiah Dennis, Derek Dixon, and Caleb Wilson, who we saw in the McDonald's All-American game on Tuesday night. Excuse me. We'll talk about that some at the end if we got a little bit of time. So that's where things stand right now. 11 scholarship players as of now. Do I expect this to stay the same? No, because Carolina still needs to add, and I expect that there will still be some attrition as well. So we'll keep our eyes on that. Now, it's not just about what Carolina has in terms of class or how many total, but we got to look positionally, right? What are the holes to fill? And then in the next segment, we're going to look ahead to what is it that Carolina still needs, both in terms of specific targets in the transfer portal and specific positions that they should go after. So as you look at the guard depth out of these 11 players, you really have 4, and that is Seth Trimble. That is Ian Jackson, although you could place him with the wings as well, and that's fine if you want to do that. And then the 2 incoming freshmen, excuse me, Isaiah Dennis and Derek Dixon, who are both bigger guards as well, getting size. Like right now, Seth is the shortest scholarship player at 6'3" right now. That, like, and whoever Carolina gets as a point guard might be smaller than that, and that's fine. But right now, things are looking bigger. So those are your 4 guards as of right now: Seth Trimble, Ian Jackson, Isaiah Dennis, and Derek Dixon. And then on the wing, again, if you want to put Ian in this category, fine, great. Is Cade Tyson, is Drake Powell, and then now Jonathan Powell, who at West Virginia spent most of his time at 3. But if Carolina wants to go really big, put him down to the 2. If they want to go small, you could put him or Drake at the 4. But you could go, I mean, with the personnel Carolina has, you could go 6'5", 6'6", 2, 3, and 4. I like that with a lot of switchability as well. And so, like, Carolina could go really, I mean, literally on 247 Sports website, Jonathan Powell is listed as a shooting guard at 6'6". So Carolina's going to figure out where they want him. They might have to tinker and tweak thing. Did I say twinker? I kind of like that. Tweak and tinker. Smash it together and you got twinker. I'm in. All right, let's use that from now on to figure out where best to fit Jonathan Powell, but I like that. And then at the forward front court, there's no real true center on this thing right now either. Obviously, we'll get to that in a minute. But it's Van Allen Lubin. It's James Brown. It's Caleb Wilson coming in, who will be probably the starting 4. And Zayden High. Right now, we're still assuming that he's coming back. All the behind-the-scenes information coming to me from reliable sources is that as of now, he has met with the coaching staff. That was last Thursday. And I mean, his mom, Tani, who's great. Tani and Mike, they're great. Zayden's parents posted a video of him, a picture of him getting shots up in the Smith Center the other day. So that's where that's at right now. So you got a little bit of a nice balance, right? As I've broken this down, of your 11, you got 4 guards, 3 wings, and 4 forwards with some movability in between all that. But the question now is, you got Jonathan Powell. Where are we at with these other guys? And what are the holes still to fill that Carolina needs to take advantage of before this is all said and done? And what about Caleb Wilson in that McDonald's All-American game? How did that go? We'll get to all of that coming up here in just a second. Right after I tell you about our good friends at Monarch Money. Do you ever check your bank account and wonder, look, where on earth did all of my money go? I need to find that money. Well, never fear, because with Monarch Money, whether it's because of dining out or online shopping or entertainment, it's easy to lose track, and that's where Monarch Money comes in. It's your personal CFO giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center where you can track your accounts, your investments, and spending all in one place. You can stop just managing your wealth and start building it. How much better is that? Instead of juggling multiple apps too, what I love about Monarch Money is it's like one-stop shopping where you can use Monarch to check your finances, to track your spending, and even plan long-term goals. Also, something critically important to me is that my wife and I are on the same page, that we're speaking with one voice and understand each other when it comes to finances. And thankfully, with Monarch Money, managing that financial part of your life with your partner is completely stress-free because of what Monarch Money does. You can track shared accounts, you can track personal accounts, set goals, and stay on that same page without all that stress. So go ahead, take control of your finances right now with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Again, monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. Okay, let's move ahead now. Right, we want to sit and dwell with Jonathan Powell. I need to check in with our host of Locked On West Virginia, and he is a dude, man. He is a character, and I absolutely love him. And I'm also looking to see if we've got any comments or questions that we need to get in on, and so that's what we'll do if we got some time there at the end. But we are running kind of short on time, and I don't want to squeeze it. So what's next? Who's next? Where is this all going? Well, what are the needs? There's never enough shooting. I still would love Carolina to get a high-level shooting guard like Isaac McNeely. Isaac McNeely, not Liam. I keep saying Liam McNeely from UConn, and I just need to remember it's my name. For their entire careers, like even when they were both in high school and I was covering the recruiting side of it, I would always mix up Liam and Isaac McNeely. No longer Isaac McNeely is the one we're talking about. I would love him at shooting guard. It just doesn't seem like it's going to happen. But critically, Carolina now needs the bookends. Those are the two biggest pieces. You saw it when we looked at the roster just a second ago. I love Seth Trimble. I really do. He is not Carolina's point guard. Somebody had asked in today's YouTube video comments, why can't Ian just run the point? That's not his game. He can handle the ball at times. He can run the break. He's not who you want as your main handler. As for Derek Dixon and Isaiah Dennis, that's neither of their games yet. We're both working on it from everything I understand, but they're not ready to do that. Carolina needs a point guard. Part of that is, unfortunately, it sounds like Nick Boyd, who Carolina had on campus earlier this week, sounds like he's going to go to Wisconsin. He got a crystal ball put in from Travis Branham at 247, and he's so reliable. De'Don Thomas, who we talked about, the UNLV transfer, is committed today on Tuesday, I guess, to LSU. So he's off the board as well. So Carolina back to the drawing board on that. Coach Rob and I, let me go ahead and plug this, are going to talk about Maryland point guard Jacoby Gillespie, who entered the transfer portal. We'll look at him on Thursday's show, but I fear there's some Tennessee leanings there because like he's from the area, his AAU coach kind of funnels things to Tennessee. So we'll see with that. But Carolina's got to get a point like that. That cannot turn into this year's version of last year's big man. We can't just say, yeah, we're fine with Jalen Washington and Jalen Withers. No. I refuse to let that be okay. Carolina has to get a point guard. So we'll keep our eyes on that. The other thing is the other bookend, the big, just like last offseason, you got to go get it. Van Allen Lubin was great down the stretch for the season, but he's not enough. James Brown hasn't quite developed enough yet. And obviously you do have, we're assuming Zayden Hyde coming back. You do have Caleb Wilson, but neither of them are really fives. And so my eyes are firmly trained on Henry Vesar, the Arizona transfer. But I'm not going to talk about him on today's show, on Wednesday's show, because Coach Robin actually going to lead Thursday's show with Vesar. But I will go ahead and tell you now, he is on a visit today, Wednesday, to North Carolina. And so, man, like, could this move really quick? And here's why that matters. On Thursday, tomorrow, there's a dead period that starts ahead of the Final Four where coaches can't reach out to make the contact. Players can, but no visits, anything like that. So that's why this Vesar visit, for example, happened and came together so quickly. Good grief. Like, don't mess around. Like, here's something that worries me that just happened. Like, it was still Tuesday when this happened, just before I started recording. Magoon Gwath, the San Diego State guy I wanted, is staying at San Diego State. He's not going. I thought he was going to go to Kentucky, and now I'm worried that Kentucky's going to try to get in on Vesar and try to steal him and snake him away from us. Cannot let that happen. Lock him up today, Hubert Davis and Jim Tanner. Make that happen. So need a point guard, need a big. I would take another wing, a shooting guard for sure. You can't have enough of that. So here's what that means for me. I think Carolina, unless they can't get somebody else, I think Nick Dorn is probably off the board right now. For me, that the coaching staff could feel differently. You could feel differently. I think that he is below Cannon Catchings on the totem pole. And if Carolina is going to go after one more, I think they go after Cannon ahead of Nick. And that's Nick Dorn, by the way, not Nick Boyd. As we're saying, it sounds like Nick Boyd's going to go to Wisconsin. So I would say the priority there at kind of the shooter or wing positions, which Cannon could play the 3 or 4, slide down to the 2, is that it's Cannon and then Nick Dorn after that. So I think he's probably going to wind up being out. That's my opinion. And I know there's like maybe a logjam if Drake stays, if Caleb obviously is going to be there, probably as your starting 4. And now you've got Jonathan Powell, who again could maybe start at the 2. But if Drake's not there, he starts at the 3, then you really like to have Cannon too, because then you got like a wing rotation and several that could play at the 4 as well. So I think it's Catchings and I think it's Dorn, but right now, man, Henry Vasart, I just cannot mess around with this thing and miss out. Go get him today. Lock it up. And then I mentioned those other guys, Deion Thomas out to LSU, Nick Boyd, Cristobal to Wisconsin, and Magoon Guath, yes, staying at San Diego State. So there you go. That's where things are at for me. Again, we'll have to keep our eyes on it because there might be other guys that enter the portal that's still open for another couple weeks here. But it's time to get to work and get some more in. Love starting things with Jonathan Powell. A couple quick words on the McDonald's All-American game, then we'll get out of here. Caleb Wilson was the lone Carolina men's representative in this game. He played for the West team. And if you watch this game, what you saw is that Caleb Wilson didn't really get a ton of touches. He's not a ball-dominant guard. He's a 4. He's a power forward. There was a time in his high school career, I remember this vividly, where he was trying to be more of a perimeter player, like a 2 or a 3, a big 2, but really more a 3. And then he finally was like, I'm a 4. I'm a power forward. And when he started leaning into that, when he realized like, oh, I could just be a defensive guy and score a lot as well. But if I can lean into both sides of this, man, I could really, really do something here. And what impressed me was that in these all-star gamey type moments, guys are just trying to get up shots, defense optional. When I touch the ball, I'm going to be a ball hog and just get up my shot. I'm not going to dish it in the same way I would in a normal game. And you know what I saw from Caleb Wilson on Tuesday night? And I hope you watched this and you saw it too. He doesn't care. He's just out there balling in the types of games. And I thought this was a competitive game. I'll say that. I thought there was more defense played than you might typically see. But Caleb was in on that, man. I love that he was all up in Cam Boozer's jelly, man. He wasn't letting him go anywhere. Now, Cam got, things get going or whatever, but he was really active, deflecting things, using his hands, steals. He's so switchable because he's so athletic. He's got a motor. He can do all of this. And I love that he wanted this defensive assignment on Cam Boozer in this game. But I also notice little things. There was a time in this game, AJ DeBansa, who was on his team, the number 1 player in this class, headed to BYU as a reminder. We didn't get him. But we got Caleb, so we'll take that. Got an offensive rebound. And Caleb, instead of calling for the ball, Caleb started directing traffic to AJ. He pointed to Darren Peterson, the Kansas commit, down under the rim, like, hey, ball down there. He is aware. He's watching. He sees things, and he's calling it out. I love that. I also love you heard them talk about on the broadcast how gregarious Caleb Wilson is. They talked about him as the most outgoing guy of this week. And you know why I love that? What was one? I talked about shooting and size as 2 of the issues for Carolina this year. You know what another one was? Leadership, vocal leadership. I don't care if you're a freshman or you're a 37th year senior. If you can talk and gather guys together and be a leader, they will follow you. Maybe Caleb Wilson could do that in year 1 at Carolina. Not being a tool shed, not knowing his place as a freshman, but speaking up when he needs to. Could absolutely see that. I like that multiple times I saw Caleb Wilson get a rebound and lead the break, or at least start it and then pitch ahead to a guard. There was a play where he was the lone defender back in transition, and the other team, I think it was like a 1-on-5, basically, maybe a 1-on-4. And he nearly got a steal and sent it back the other way. Didn't, and they ended up getting a layup. But still, the fact that he even came close is absurd to me. Fran Fraschilla on the broadcast had this to say about Caleb Wilson. I wrote it down because I loved it. He said of Caleb Wilson, quote, he's had some terrific practices here at the McDonald's All-American stuff. making threes, driving the basketball, rebounding in traffic, showing his versatility, back cutting when he's overplayed. I thought he was outstanding this week. And oh, by the way, very switchable on the defensive end, he added later. All of that. I mean, that is so well-rounded. He is a stretch four, making threes. I'm curious how consistent he'll be able to do that. He's driving the basketball. He's not just settling for three, right? We talked earlier about wanting Jonathan Powell to do that. Drive and shoot threes. Make them guess. Don't just let them know you're only shooting. Rebounding in traffic. Showing versatility. All of this from Caleb Wilson, man, is going to be so good, and I can't wait to see it. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me late tonight here from Tuesday into Wednesday. For some of us, for some of you, it already was Wednesday, but this is great. This is our Wednesday show. And then again, Coach Rob and I are going to record on Wednesday. For Thursday's show, we'll talk about Henry Vasar. We'll talk about Jacoby Gillespie from Maryland. So that'll be a lot of fun as well. And then Friday, we'll see. Just the portal's always moving, so I don't want to commit to anything really yet on that either. All right, guys, thank you so much for being here with me. I want to remind you, if you've not subscribed to the show on YouTube, do that right now, man. It is blowing up during portal season. It's so much fun to be together. We'd love to have you as a regular part of this family. If you've not joined the Locked On Tar Heels Insider Program, I mentioned it earlier. I drop in all of my portal rumors that I hear, every insider, anything, any confirmations, anything I hear, it's going in there to our insiders. That link is in the show notes. We'd love to have you. If you're not part of the Locked On Tar Heels Discord, man, that's a great place with hundreds of Tar Heels fans. Come join us and be part of that as well. You guys, it's always a great day to be a Tar Heel, especially when we get a commitment. We love that. We'll talk to you again tomorrow on Thursday, but until then, peace.